Welcome back to Don't Be Fooled. Conservatives have been complaining for the past few years they're being online. We now see it taking a more serious tone as social media companies are now derogatory information about Joe Biden. How are the American people supposed to know the truth when big tech keeps to meet their own interests? When did big tech become the amendment? Stop censoring us. Stop keeping us from hearing the truth about the Bidens, about the coronavirus, about medical experts. Let us speak freely. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer tried to blame the lack of a stimulus bill on Republicans. The Trump administration offered a $1.8 trillion stimulus, but Democrats rejected it. Last week, we showed Nancy Pelosi telling CNN's Wolf Blitzer that Blitzer was an apologist for Trump because he questioned her decision to reject Trump's offer. And yet, shamelessly, Chuck Schumer pushes the narrative that Republicans are denying relief.
Let me be clear. The Republican proposal was unacceptable a month ago. It remains unacceptable now, even more so that the crisis has gotten even worse. Remember, Leader McConnell has been clear that as many as 20 Republican senators don't want to provide any more relief to the American people.
$1.8 trillion in new stimulus checks just didn't work for you, Senator Schumer? It's clear at this point that Democrats are hoping people aren't paying attention and don't understand what actually happened. Democrats shut down the stimulus bill, not Republicans. We've seen several reports across the country of ballot harvesting and possible destruction of mail-in ballots. Kamala Harris spoke to a mostly empty parking lot, trying to convince the small group in attendance that Donald Trump is the one causing concerns about the voting system. But Kamala Harris knows better.
People trying to suppress the vote. Donald Trump trying to confuse people about the integrity of our voting system, trying to suggest that you can't trust it, right? But we know better, and we know when somebody's trying to play us.
Why hasn't Senator Harris addressed the concerns that Ilhan Omar is paying people to harvest ballots? Harris has ignored concerns that ballots are getting dumped in gutters and lit on fire in likely Republican neighborhoods. Senator Harris herself has said, "We know better." She just hopes the American people don't know better. She's counting on her voters to be too uninformed to examine the facts for themselves. What she says doesn't match what we're seeing. On the topics of campaigns, MSNBC actually made the argument that Donald Trump's campaign is flailing at the seams. The point the host was trying to make is that the Trump campaign is hurting. That's not true. Even the Biden campaign is forced to acknowledge that Trump has way more support than Biden. Yet MSNBC hopes its viewers believe the Trump campaign is struggling.
Ordinarily, this is when you would see President Trump, Joe Biden exclusively in battleground states. And yet we have seen the president instead detouring to some states that were once considered solidly red. What does that tell you about the state of his campaign?
It's flailing at the seams. I mean, it's clear that the president is on defense.
That's an absolutely ludicrous statement and a bold-faced lie. Joe Biden called a lid on all press events for the vast majority of the week, just weeks before the election. As a result, we don't have much footage to show you of any support for Biden because he hasn't had any events. So here's Trump's events. Yeah, he really looks like he's struggling. Donald Trump has had an unprecedented level of support, and that's in California. Joe Biden doesn't stand a chance.